Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to the 19th. Oh my God, we're almost at 20. 19th episode of the Killer Kaiju podcast. As always, if this is your first time, I am Lucas, and I also have with me Josh.
Hi, hello.
And in case this is your first time on the podcast, because this might be one of those movies you're just hopping in, this is a commentary slash podcast. So we basically watch the movie, give fun facts, give our review, talk about the film, and you can watch along with us as we go scene by scene, or you can just listen for all the information and listen to it as just a podcast and listen to our ramblings if you have seen the movie or not. Today is a very special movie in my case, and honestly for a lot of Godzilla fans. Today we're watching Godzilla versus Biollante, which is probably the most missed Godzilla film in the entire franchise. As we watch it, we'll dive into those reasons a little more, but it's a fantastic film and we are super excited to hop right into this today. So we'll do a countdown 3, 2, 1, and then you can either hit play and watch along with us, or if you're watching on YouTube, we have a visual timestamp as well, just so you can get caught up if you're coming back to it as well. Alrighty, folks, without further ado, we are watching the Miramax release, so the North American release, because the original Japanese version of this film is impossible to get your hands on. I'm talking like big bucks even to get either now. So I'm very fortunate to have a copy. So that's the version we were watching. If you're watching the original Japanese version, there's really not too much of a time difference between these movies. It's just the obviously the delivery and the voices, whether it's subbed or dubbed. Alrighty, with that being said, we're going to hop right in, folks. So I'll give the countdown and away we go. So we are starting the film in 3, 2, 1, go.
Toho.
Not this time. Miramax. We're watching Mallrats.
Unexpected on that one. And Toho.
And Miramax being the distributor is really why this one gets is really hard to get your hands on, because most of them are distributed through Sony, TriStar, or Kraken releasing, and this was the only one Miramax distributed, and they lost the rights real quick for it, so it was out for a bit and then gone. And I believe it didn't get a North American release till the 90s, so like years later. I love the way this movie starts with like the alert levels of Godzilla, because the last film we watched, if you remember, Josh, was the 1984 where he got led into the volcano.
Yeah.
So technically, like he in a volcano, he dead, but they opened it right up with kind of like a DEFCON leveling where there's like, we're level 1, level 2, because he's moving and he's starting to move from the volcano. Like there's movement going on.
Yeah.
So I guess the volcano didn't kill him. Yeah. Guess the volcano is not good enough. I wish. Oh my God. Soon we will.
It was probably just really nice and toasty down there.
I know, he's just staying warm,
Yeah.
Just toasty warm.
Better than Canada.
I love how all the Japanese edits in the Heisei have these beautiful titles.
Biollante.
And then all of a sudden,
purple.
Yeah. They always have the coolest like logos, and then the crappy just American subtitles come up and they're just like blah. And sometimes they really like blatantly put it over the really cool logo and it ruins it. I'm like, why? It looks so good. All of the Heisei poster designs look incredible. Like the posters for this, they were all done by the same guy. He did all the Heisei ones with this one, and going forward, all the posters. And he does they're like Star Wars-esque, where they're like pastel and brightly colorful. His artwork is just amazing. If you love artwork and you love Godzilla films, go check out the Heisei artwork for all these movies. They're just amazing. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first English dub we've watched so far in the series. We've always watched subtitles with Japanese. And we like it that way, but this is all we have. And the funny thing too is, even in the Japanese version, this is all English what they're talking, because obviously we have Japanese subtitles for the English dub. So it's really funny for all the English speaking, the Japanese subtitles would have been there regardless. So even if you have the Japanese original with English sub, there's still English speaking in the movie, because there's English speaking parts in this movie. It's really confusing. So even with our dub, we're getting Japanese subtitles over top, because that was just, inverted in the film. That was the way it was. So we're kind of opened up with the remnants of 1984. I really love this, how it's like the disaster area of what Godzilla's moved through. It really explains, like, 'cause we never get to see the place after Godzilla's torn through it. So here we get scientists trying to find Godzilla cells and remains of like things they can study. So we have all the Japanese scientists with their Geiger counters looking for Godzilla cells and such like that, which I think is really cool. Like the director of this film, was Kazuki Amori, and this was his first Godzilla film. He's really only directed like teen dramas and other things before this, but he grew up loving James Bond films, and this is a definite movie. You can definitely see it in a lot of these scenes. So here we get an American.
I also like how violent thus far Godzilla has been in this movie.
Oh,
like clearly the villain.
This one's got a really heavy action horror vibes. So here we get, these are American terrorists.
Get out of there.
Essentially are here trying to steal Godzilla cells for the American forces. So we already open up with like an awesome bass line. I love this soundtrack. Raging guitar solos. This is how you start a movie. Frag out. Just whipping grenades, shooting each other. But obviously with 1984 carrying the Cold War kind of feel, this one was made obviously later. This movie is 1989, I believe. Yep, 1989. So it's like 5 years after 1984. So it took 5 years for them to get another Godzilla movie off the bricks. And like before, we were talking on the last podcast episode, because King Kong did so bad, they were really hesitant on doing more Godzilla films. But you know what else came out the year prior to this? Little Shop of Horrors.
I love that movie.
And that was Rick a big
Moranis.
thing. Yeah. And it's with it being very heavily practical effects and puppetry, it gave them a little more hope to think, even in North American audiences, and it was popular in Japan too. They're like, well, maybe we can get away with doing another movie because people still like this stuff. The movie did well, clearly. And it's ironic because obviously we know Biollante is a plant creature.
Yeah.
So it's not planned that way, but it just ended up being that way. So here we get a third opposing force. The Americans escape, but not for long, because here we get our main, and I would say he's our main antagonist of the movie, our main bad guy. And he's just the badass guy.
Struggled, and this guy just shot them like nothing.
Yeah, good aim here. You'll later on in the movie, though, terrible aim.
Okay, I assume so, because I was like, they got away pretty easily, and then this guy just comes out of nowhere behind a post and he's like, pow, pow, pow. My box.
So it's funny there in the English dub, he says, well, thanks, guys. But in the Japanese version, when the subtitles come up there, he actually says, kiss, you guys.
Oh.
Originally, and I don't know what that means, but it's really funny. So here we see it says Saradia Oil Company. So obviously it's supposed to be like Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
But I imagine they couldn't say that at the time. So he's like we'll just go with Saradian for now to stick with the story, but it is Saudi Arabia. So he's a Saradian agent. So we had American terrorists stealing Japanese Godzilla cells. And then when they failed, the Saudi, I want to say Saudi Arabia, the Saradian agent came in and then killed them and took the cell. So it's almost like a steal it to kill a guy to steal it to kill a guy.
Well, I mean, clearly this thing has value.
I like too how we get to see Japanese scientists working for opposing forces, like, or I guess they were allies at this point because they're Japan working with Saudi Arabia. So our scientist here, who's Japanese, is living in Saudi Arabia, Saradia, with his daughter. So do you recognize our actress here who's playing his daughter?
Is she the bio lady? I could be wrong.
Yeah, she was from the last movie. She was also a scientist's daughter in the last movie.
Okay, I thought so. I was like, I think so. I'm like, I know the face. Like, I'm staring at her. I'm like, yeah, I know her. I just can't. We went through this when we graded them all. They're all the same movies at this point.
I know, they all blend together, all the films. So, and it doesn't help that they reuse a lot of the same actors and actresses in movies and then change the role. Like here, she's the same idea. She's playing a scientist's daughter, but she's playing a completely different scientist's daughter.
She's so basically now, like the Johnny Depp of this world.
Yeah, really.
Plays a different character, like same actor though, and it's them.
Yeah. So this is a really good way they set up everything. They set up the tension between the different countries fighting over the cells, and now they're setting up the whole idealism on why maybe this character won't trust working with these cells anymore. So while we're going through these little introductory things, I'll give a couple facts. So this movie is yet another contest-esque winner type scenario where they had different people submit screenplays and stories for the next Godzilla film. And a lot of them were really silly and not that great. So they were getting a little worried. Like one of them had Hitler controlling Godzilla. That was one of the things that got submitted. Hitler was controlling Godzilla. That's pretty out there.
Oh God, I don't even want to get into that one.
But last
just
minute,
what are the possibilities?
I know, right? Last minute, a few weeks before they closed the polls, a writer, Shinichiro Kobayashi. I can do the last name. First name is a little rough. So Kobayashi is how we'll refer to him. He was a dentist and he did writing for Return of Ultraman and some of the Ultraman stuff. And he submitted this story last minute. And worst case, it kind of stayed the same. They kind of kept with the same idea. They changed it a little bit with the designs, but the story overall kind of stayed the same.
Yeah.
So here there's been an explosion at the laboratory where they were going to study right here. I wonder who could have done that. American terrorists.
Jesus.
I mean, yeah, ideally, yeah. So the American terrorists have bombed essentially this Seradian laboratory because originally, they stole the G cells from them. So now they're getting revenge. But he sent his daughter up. And she was in the blast. So this is where the story really lets off. This is where we get our introductory to why everything's happening. So he sent his daughter Erica up to the laboratory and it was bombed and she was, killed. Essentially now that's how it's explained. So that's kind of how we set up everything. So Erica plays an important role. So it's just important that we know that that's his daughter and that she was killed over a fight over the G cells. So I know we talked a lot in past movies about psychics and how they'd play a major role in future movies. This is the film where we're really introduced to the psychics and it really starts to take a huge role in this series going forward.
I like her plant room. I'm just like looking at all the laboratory features. Yeah.
So like most Godzilla films, they always the fear of nuclear power, nuclear energy. In Yoshimitsu Banno's Godzilla versus Hedorah, it pushed forward the fear of pollution and its effect on the world. This one was meant to push the fears of biotechnology and biomanipulation, like bleeding other animals together and how we can use bioweaponry as a danger to society, essentially. And that was kind of the whole screenplay idea that was submitted by Kobayashi. Yeah. In the original script, like Godzilla was supposed to fight like a giant half-bred rat fish creature, because it was one of the other experiments they were working on, but it was eventually removed from the story, which I'm happy for because we get to see a lot more Godzilla for battling and destroying stuff. So here you see basically, for those who don't know, it's kind of a said thing that roses are able to carry. They're said to carry the souls of loved ones and past ones. That's kind of the idea. So he's asking these psychics if they can hear anything from these roses. So we're already getting hints that those roses are supposed to contain the soul and the DNA of his daughter, Erica. So he can kind of keep her alive because he's not willing to let her go. It's actually a really sweet story. With people coping with loss, and if you have the power, what would you do with it? Oh, and here we get more American terrorists spying on them. Look at, and in case you missed it, America hat. Just in case you didn't figure it out, he's wearing a 5-panel hat, and it's just the American flag. And our Seradian agent.
Those terrible gloves.
Yo, he's so badass with his driving gloves and his blackout shades, his high-tech scanning equipment. Yo, he's a badass character. I don't know if we ever get his name.
Bundy.
He's kind of just known as the Seradian agent.
We'll call him Jim.
There you go. He's a really... Oh, here we go. His name is Sirhan. That's his name, Sirhan. Seradian Oil Corp. Oh, no, that's the branch manager. Okay, so who's the Seradian agent? We don't get to know. That's so sad. He's such a good role. That's great. Either way, we'll just refer to him as the Seradian agent. He's badass. I think he adds a lot to this movie, and kind of goes like he reminds me of like Arnold when he was the Terminator. Kind of, though that's the next movie that steals from Terminator. So now we're back in the city from the last movie where it was destroyed. I think this is really cool, a cool set. So it's this building kind of that was toppled by Godzilla.
And they used it with the window?
Yeah, and they
That's
kind of
so
built
sick.
around it, so it's a memorial lounge for the people's lives who were lost during Godzilla's raid, almost like a like a memorial thing, like we'll never forget, kind of similar to what they did with the Twin Towers 9/11.
Yeah,
So after
I've
Godzilla's
always wanted to go
destruction,
there.
oh, that would be really cool to go there one day. I would love to go there. Says it's got a Godzilla poster in it. We'd definitely be going.
It'd be really cool. Like I've seen the walkthroughs for it and stuff, and they have like fire trucks and crap. Like it'd be so neat. So if this was real, I would 10 out of 10 be here.
Oh yeah,
I'd be wandering
100%.
around looking at the window, be like, wow, a paw went through this, or a foot or something.
Now I could be wrong, but I believe the building they're in is the building that he pushed over on the Super X. Because that was the only building that really got toppled in that ending scene from the last movie, I believe. Like he blew up buildings and took them apart, but this was the only building I think that fully fell over. So I believe, and that's why it's the memorial, because all the soldiers who were alive in the Super X died because they got crushed by the building. A little bit of spoiler territory too. The Super X 2, obviously the Super X makes an appearance in this movie, and I think it just further proves the point that it was the building, because when they use the Super X in this movie, it's unmanned, so they don't have people inside of it, just to further, protect their losses, so they don't have a similar scenario against that. Only further proves my point on why I think it was the building that crushed them.
I like overall, like we've talked about it a few times, but since like the first movie that we watched to now, the buildings have gotten bigger, because they need to do size comparisons. I really like that, because like when he was walking through the city in this one, I'm like, damn, that would be terrifying. Like imagine every building being like Toronto.
Yeah.
And just, windows flying everywhere. I just feel like there's so much more damage to be done in that one. Like him literally turning would destroy buildings.
Oh yeah.
So simply, just like him turning.
And I liked the suit in the last one, but this is really the Heisei, because the last suit was made for someone different, as we remember.
Yeah.
This suit was made for Kenpachiro Satsuma, and we have a different special effects director doing this movie. This is a great shot right here. So all the kids have been having the same dream, and they're asked to draw what they saw. And they all hold up pictures of Godzilla. Such a cool shot. I love it, because they're all psychic kids, right? Part of the psychic program.
We gotta make a meme of that, and when they hold it up, it's the Killer Kaiju podcast.
Yeah, sold.
Yeah, this is what we're dreaming of.
I love it. Really cool. So here we get the head of the eventually like the Godzilla Defense Force here. There's some cool Easter eggs. If you look in the background here, there's a statue, a figure of the original King Kong versus Godzilla suit. And if you look closely as well, you'll actually see an oxygen destroyer. It's in one of the shots right there.
Statue. Yeah.
Oxygen destroyer right there. And that's the actual prop they used.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. I actually didn't catch that on the first time I watched it, and I caught it the second time I watched it. I'm like, they could have solved the movie right there. They have the weapon that destroyed him. They could have just taken him out just like that.
I wonder how much that would be worth. Like, they didn't just have it laying around, or did they?
Dun dun dun. Yeah, he's also makes a couple appearances in other movies in the future, but this is his main role here. So here we get introduced to a character we're going to see a lot more in the future. She plays Miki Sagusa is the character's name in the Godzilla series, but the actress's name, she's one of the psychics, by the way. She's the one who was just talking on screen there. She's like the main psychic. Her name in real life is Megumi Odaka, and really cool. This is like her first Godzilla movie, and she had never seen a Godzilla movie up until this point, and she was actually petrified of the Godzilla suit. Like she was scared of it, and it wasn't until she met Kenpachiro Satsuma and like ended up like hanging out with him, and then like she ended up getting over her fear, and after that she loved the whole series, and she's actually going to be in every single Godzilla movie up until the end of the Heisei series now, and she's actually a recurring role. She doesn't change characters, so we do get to see Miki in every single movie going forward. So at least we get kind of a I guess like the Jamie Lee Curtis, you know what I mean, of Halloween. She's that one character that carries the whole series now.
Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah, exactly. Tommy Jarvis in the Friday movies we've been watching. Very similar.
I want that statue. I keep staring at it.
I know. I love, and it's funny because we talk shit about the King Kong versus Godzilla suit sometimes, but I like the design when it's done up like that. It's just the suit
like it looks
rough.
nice. Just in the movie, not so much. It's easier to make a toy look better than it is the suit with a human in it. right? Like you don't have to worry about the cement. You can put so much more detail into it.
Exactly. So I mentioned earlier, well, we're getting through some of the talky parts. We'll give some more facts. The special effects director for this one, his name is Koichi Kawakita, and he was brought onto this project because he actually had another fan Godzilla thing that was kind of introduced, was essentially Godzilla versus the Terminator. It was like Godzilla versus this machine that thought for itself and like progressed constantly. And it got canceled from that way, but they liked the story at Toho. So he went off and actually did a movie called Gunhead, which we will cover in our season 2 for sure. We'll get our hands on a copy of that movie. And they liked his special effects in that movie so much that they actually offered him the job to do the special effects for this movie. And it's actually incredible because obviously in past movies, we've noticed they don't always blend two pieces of film together that well. You can always see, you know, like when he's walking behind a building, it looks like it was added in. It's not, it has matte lines and stuff like that. You'll see in this movie, the special effects are the best they will ever be. The matte lining is perfect. Everything's so well hidden. You don't see strings because everything's done at night. This is probably the best looking Godzilla film you'll ever get before they get into the later
I'm
ones.
really enjoying this one. I'm just like paying attention and kind of zoning out watching it. I'm like, cool, you know, little effects in the background.
And it's a damn shame that it got missed so hard by fans. And a lot of people blame Toho on their lack of promotion for the film, like almost like they didn't have enough faith in it. You know what I mean? So it didn't have a lot of promotion going forward. Like it didn't get a North American release, which didn't help. And for this one, it introduced a new character that we've never seen before, right? It's not like a Mothra. It's not like a Ghidorah. And I feel like this movie didn't do that well in theaters. And I feel like because of that, the next movies we get are Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, Godzilla and Mothra. Then we get a Mecha Godzilla film. Like we get stuff we would expect because they were scared to try something different again. But I think that's what makes this movie so special. So here we go. So this is like the head of the defense force in the military, pretty much, for the Japanese government. So he wants to authorize the use of G cells, but obviously they're worried that it could become something as weaponry. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to expand it out because obviously if the Americans want it and Seradia wants it, there's definitely some destructive elements to using the Godzilla cells. That's see what he's getting into now.
See, now I can't stop thinking about the Terminator thing.
Oh, trust me, the Terminator is the next one.
I want to see. No, I was like, I want to legitimately see the T2 Terminator or the T900, versus Godzilla. I mean, the T1, the T1000, the cop. I think it's the T1000. Like that thing would be 10 out of 10.
We do get a Terminator in the next movie, though. God, that's your spoiler for the next one. So
sorry, and now I'm just thinking about Terminator. That's why we can't talk about other movies
and everything. So I do like the way this one tackles biotechnology and biowarfare. It's really cool. And we'll even see later on, like, it kind of becomes like a Frankenstein-esque story too. It's just, I understand why there was a lot of worry for this film. It tries to cover a lot of different spectrums of genres in one film, but it almost just pushes far enough that it's super intriguing, but you don't get lost in the side plots.
I also like that they try and incorporate radiation. Like it's not just Godzilla needs radiation to survive or something along those lines. They just try and incorporate like greedy businesses or other weird variants of that. And they know that it's going to be a failure in the end. You know what I mean? Like clearly in time, we've seen what radiation does and how we can adapt to other sources. But I like how they work it into the story and not just be like, he needs the radiation to feed or something very simple.
Exactly.
It's just they're putting a lot more thought process into the whole radiation, and I can appreciate that one. Like so far, I also really like this laboratory where they're showing you more of a natural laboratory where all the other labs that we see are like high tech, you know, little gadgets everywhere. This is literally just plants on shelves, and they're like science.
So not to cut you off, but we just got another volcanic eruption.
Yeah.
And it caused an earthquake and destroyed the roses in his laboratory where his daughter's spirit was encased. Because obviously we've seen the Godzilla threat levels going up and up and up. So the eruption of the volcano is signifying the release of Godzilla. So originally the agents had come and talked to him and been like, you know, we'd like you to develop an antibacteria from the Godzilla cells. And he said, no, like my work with the Godzilla cells cost me my daughter's life. I don't want to do this anymore. But at this point, he's lost these roses, so they're dying. So now he's pushed to make a decision, you know, like obviously now he's got to do something. Otherwise, Erica's going to die. So he's going to probably take him up on the bargain here to develop this bacteria, but having regenerative cells and technically his daughter's DNA, that's two things. When you have a mad scientist, you don't want those two things in his hands, because only bad things are to come of something like that. See, because now all of a sudden he's all for it. He's like, well, that makes no sense. I just went and saw him and he wanted nothing to do with this, but now he wants to. Red flags. So we kind of get 5 subplots through this movie, and that's why it gets a little confusing. We get the romance between these two figures here, obviously the major and the head of the psychic department. We get Miki, and that's what we get. We get the psychic angle of all the psychic kids and Miki learning her psychic capabilities. We get the romance here. We get the complication between the American and Saradian and Japanese government. We kind of get that angle. And then we also get the subplot of our scientist losing his daughter and all that. And then obviously we get the Godzilla plot. So it is juggling a lot. Yeah,
that's why you're here.
Exactly.
Just explain that to me and I'll be like, Lucas, why? This isn't one of those things where I watch a movie and I'm like, what just happened? This isn't Hereditary, where afterwards I had to go YouTube it and be like, what the fuck did I just watch?
I love that movie. I had to watch it at least twice to really get the hell what was going on.
Not a big fan myself, but it's the way she goes, boys. Taking some blood from the cells.
Here we get this is pretty much the moment, folks. This is the moment of this movie where bad things happen. So has the Godzilla cells. He's extracted DNA, and yep, this already screams bad idea. He is injecting the Godzilla regenerative G1 cells into the rose, which contains the soul of his daughter.
But even thus far, right? Like in all the other movies, it'd be like a black and white Frankenstein kind of esque. Yeah. We're literally still in like a laboratory, just surrounded by plants.
I like that effect too. You actually see the cells combining. Yeah.
I wonder how they got that. Like it's probably just some like 2 actual cells combining. But I'm just wondering what it is. Is it like blood like covering a leaf or something?
Yeah, I imagine they just had like colored liquid of some sort pushing into something else and a gradient over it.
That's what I was thinking.
Because we are getting close to the 90s by this point. So
those over top projectors from when we were in school and they'd write on them like the teachers, they were probably just dropping 2 things and and filming the wall.
Exactly. So this is also the first Godzilla movie to this is funny, this line. I'm sure as eggs, someone else will. Eggs as eggs. That's in the dub only. That's not the actual line in Japanese. That's just them trying to relate with current American culture. That's all it is. So I just totally got off track because of the eggs as eggs thing. Oh, see now this is the rose here. This is what we're seeing. That's technically the rose that he's grown. Look how fast it's already grown. It's only been like a day, and it's already starting to divide like crazy.
It's gonna be massive quick.
So as I was sorry, I'll get back on track here. I was saying this is the first Godzilla film to feature actual like digital effects, because it doesn't digital affect any of the monsters or any of the scenes per se, but there's a diagram where they're explaining the flying ship, and it's done with like 3D blocks kind of. And that's it though. They don't 3D like edit any of the actual footage. It's just the first time technically CGI is used. So at least it's in a good way, because in the future it gets used heavily when you get into the Millennium series and it really takes away. The Super X2. Or as it should have been named, the Super Duper X.
Nah.
So it's unmanned and it can fly, but now it can also go underwater.
So do you think that it's made out of space titanium?
I don't know if they had enough space titanium to build that much, but maybe.
Just recycle Mecha Godzilla.
So I guess, yeah. But I mean, they do explain what they use instead of space titanium later on when this is used in its full,
aluminum.
Right
space
here.
Aluminum.
So it's actually diamond. They use actual diamond coating because it reflects the power of Godzilla's atomic breath. So it's essentially made of diamonds, and it's a fire mirror. Synthetic diamonds, sorry.
It can't even be bougie.
It's bougie. So essentially, when they just said there, it's designed so when Godzilla uses atomic breath, it'll absorb and reflect the beam back at him.
Yeah.
So it protects them and damages him back, giving him a little taste of his own medicine. So see, they don't know what he's working on because essentially they said he's supposed to be making an nuclear bacteria, but he's used those cells for something else that they don't even know about yet.
Yeah, I was like, I guess you could say that.
Because that was his one condition. He's like, if I use it, if I do this for you, I want to keep the cells at my laboratory for in the meantime. Which I mean is good because he can do what he does, but it's also bad because he does what he does. It's also bad because this is what's going to happen. So here we get the American terrorists. They're currently ransacking his home.
Yeah, well, I mean, you probably should have had a better and more safe.
But who was following the Americans? Our Seradian Terminator.
I was like the guy with the gloves.
Canadian agent.
Jesus.
Here we go. This is a pretty cool horror scene. I actually really like this scene. I love how he goes for the lights rather than shooting them first.
It reminds me of Predator for some reason.
It's when he shoots and then turns the corner that he really looks like the Terminator. There's a scene where he just chucks the gun right there. That's such a Terminator shot. See what I mean by bad aim?
It's like the Terminator, but like if you bought him off Wish.
Bet you didn't see this coming.
Oh, no, I didn't.
So the American terrorists here, American agents, I should say, they were like trying to take the guy out, and all of a sudden these vines start coming out of the ground and flying and grabbing them and dragging them away. Our main guy leaps through the window, James Bond style, gets the hell out of there. So I'd be terrified to be the Seradian agent here right now. Because now he's all alone in that building with this thing. I love the special effects they use for the vines, grabbing them and whipping them around. It's actually really well done. We get like an Evil Dead shot there of it like following with the tentacle. Really cool. Yeah, this guy's prepared for everything. I gotta say though, in the English dub, I don't know if it's the same way with the original Japanese cut, but there is an error. So obviously our Seradian agent gets away and our one American terrorist got away, but the one guy died. The plant got a hold of him.
Yeah.
And when the police go to investigate, we'll see in a moment, they say 2 bodies. See, bodies belong to 2 of the biomajor agents. Only one guy died.
They're trying.
That's when the English dub, the people who are redubbing everything really didn't watch the movie properly and didn't get the proper script. They just assumed they died. So now he's exposed, right? Everyone knows what he's been doing now.
Well, clearly. Fucking lab like exploded with like vines and shit. Like there was some fuckery afoot.
I like here. He's like, I believe I've made a mistake. Well, no shit.
Godzilla now has a new enemy. Sorry.
He thought he could keep Erica alive. But I think now I might have made a mistake. Yeah, you think?
You got a nice window out of it, though.
So not only did he hatch it and it killed all those people, but it had enough of a mind to crawl away and escape his laboratory. That's terrifying. And it's only been 2 days at this point, and that's how fast it's grown.
It wants to be free.
I want to break free. That's actually really funny.
Just him like walking out the fucking wall. I want to break free.
I want to break free. So really cool too. We've heard enough music to really talk about his score now. So the person who scored the music for this is Koichi Sugiyami. And it was funny, after he made the whole composition for this movie and he presented it to Tanaka, our producer, he didn't like it. And he used some of it, but to be honest, he pulls a lot of Ifukube's classic score and uses that for a lot of the Godzilla stuff. And I don't blame Sugiyami because he actually never even got to see the movie before making the score. They kind of told him what it was about and asked him to make it based off of just words, not the actual film itself. So, you know, I don't blame him. And I like the stuff he contributes. Like he does, I think, the Biollante theme song and some of the suspense musical scores. And then they reuse Ifukube for Godzilla and the other shots. And I like it because it adds a little throwback to classic Godzilla and it adds something new for Biollante. And I think it was actually ended up being a really good mix. However, Sugiyami, this was the only one he did. And then he went on to do better things. He actually did the whole score for the Dragon Quest games. So that was what he went on to do. So good for him. He went on to do bigger and better things. Super cool. So now we get the two psychics. They're going to revisit the doctor's laboratory because they know now something's afoot. Godzilla's coming up, and now the kids started. If you saw, the kids started drawing a rose-like creature. Miki and the kids are now drawing a rose-like creature instead of Godzilla. So something else has now been put into play
in the minds of the children.
Yeah. And it's cool to Kawakita, who was the person who did the special effects for this movie, and Gunhead. He pretty much does all of them up till the end of the Heisei period now. So he's in charge of the special effects from now on, which is great because look how great this movie is.
Yeah.
It's worth noting too, this is like the highest budget. Yeah. It's one of the highest budgeted Godzilla films. I think it was like 700 million yen. So it's already one of the highest budgeted films they got the most money for. Which I don't blame them because 84 did pretty good. So with bringing Godzilla back.
Sorry, if I don't talk a lot, it's just because I'm watching all the sweet stuff happening.
Yes, as well, folks. If it's your first time, I forgot to mention at the beginning too. I've seen these movies millions of times. These are all Josh's first impressions, which is the cool, unique thing about our podcast. So this is a great film. A lot of these ones are really intense. So he's going to be watching.
Dig that as a costume. Yeah, I dig that as a costume design. That is rad.
And this is one of the first times we really, besides Hedorah, I mean, this actually draws a lot of parallels from Godzilla versus Hedorah, or the smog monster. You know, we get monsters with multiple forms. We get a different non-nuclear threat added. I mean, the nuclear is still there, but it's got more of a different
take on it because it's like a blend with Godzilla.
So here he calls it Biollante for the first time.
Like how he already had a name.
Plant. Yeah, well, because it's the spirit of a plant from Nordic mythology, because he's a bio major, right? Which, I mean, that's not actually a thing, folks.
If that was me, I'd be like, his name's Lucas. Screw it. His name's Lucas. I like that.
So there we get the psychics saying they can hear Erica's voice coming from Biollante. I love the actress so much. Odaka, who plays Miki, she is so phenomenal in this role. Like, she's such a good actress. Like, look how much, like, she's so, you can tell she's like really concentrating. Like, she's actually psychic connection, and we'll get a lot more of her throughout the movie displaying her powers. But all of the casting for this movie is off the charts incredible. Because I love the Godzilla movies, but sometimes the acting isn't the best. It's a little stale, but the English dub and the acting from the original Japanese actors alone is even great in this movie. Like, there's not really much bad things you can say about this film. So as earlier we noticed too, the American terrorists have now said, after all that they're going to essentially bomb. They're holding the city at ransom because they're going to bomb the volcano and release Godzilla if they don't give them G cells. So that's kind of the threat they're using, because they know Godzilla's on the verge of awakening. So like, hey, if you don't give us these G cells that we've just lost all of our men for, we're going to blow up the volcano.
But essentially. Can you just like get the cells from Godzilla if that was already the threat?
I mean, I guess, but he's in the volcano, right? They can't just go peel it off of him because he's super radioactive. They would die without getting just too close to him.
A long stick with a claw at the end.
And not to mention, Godzilla is really hard to pierce his skin, right? The only reason they found the flesh is because the Super X was launching those intense combat weaponry at him to actually damage him, because normal missiles weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
So they couldn't just go cut him off.
Most damage has been those drill ones.
Well,
Terminator's back.
Why would he shoot that small handle if he could have just shot him and killed him? And now they're like, he's like warning shotting them.
Maybe it's because he doesn't want to kill them, but he'd rather just be like, run away.
Maybe less casualties. Maybe he was instructed to have less casualties so they don't start a war between the two countries. That makes sense, actually.
Also, try and not be seen as much, too, if you can.
God, so dapper. It's that Seradian agent again. It bothers me that even though these guys are all speaking English, because they didn't have the rights to the original actors, they had to redub over the American lines, like the English lines, with more English voice acting. So their mouths still don't line up, and the acting isn't as good. So the actors' voices don't really fit the actors.
Oof.
Flips the truck. But that's dangerous because the bombs in the back, the counter system that's going to blow up the volcano. So now we got 2 minutes until the bomb blows and releases Godzilla. And the main guy who knows how to disarm it's dead. And these guys are being held at bay by the Seradian agent.
What an idiot.
Very James Bond like. So the director, obviously going back to the director, he directed a few teen dramas, Kazuki Amori, but he always loved James Bond films, and that was his thing. And you can tell that's where it takes a lot of parallels from. He's always wanted to do a James Bond movie.
Oh, 100%.
And I feel like the other reason this movie didn't do well is because before the movie was released, he publicly admitted that he wasn't really a big advocate of Godzilla. Like, he didn't really like the movies. In fact, when talking to Tanaka, he said that all of the 70s and even the original Godzilla movies were an embarrassment. That they weren't serious and that they weren't good films, except for the original, obviously. And later on,
I was going to say, how could you say that? Because the original is very serious.
Yeah, no, he meant like the later Showa films and
100%. But like the OG ones, 10 out of 10.
And he even said to the extreme of 1984 was even bad, like the last film we watched, and that he wanted to really get Godzilla back on track and properly do it. And I know a lot of directors have said that, but I mean, he kind of succeeds with this one. And later on, he kind of in like Damage Control, he kind of admitted saying, as a kid, he loved them. But after growing up, like it just wasn't his forte. He grew up with James Bond and stuff like that. So he was more of a serious director. But the guy already had a bad name out for himself for diehard Godzilla fans because he pretty much talked shit. Amen. So they didn't do it in time. The bomb goes off. And who are we going to get climbing out of that volcano?
Mothra.
Our big man G. So as I said, the suit changed from 1984. This is when Godzilla starts to look like Godzilla. And even Ken Pachiro himself has said that this was the best Godzilla suit. He, from like a look point of view and for how it fit and how he wore it, he loved everything about it. It was his favorite suit.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, this suit's incredible.
He's muscular, he's thick, I don't know. That looks really good.
They blacked out the eyes too. If you notice in the last one, he had white around his eyes, and then the people in the middle, which made him look more human. And this one, they went full black. They brought the ears out more. They made him more look like an animal. I really like this suit a lot. And for the mainstay of things, this is the same suit, just with minor fixes and touches. It's the same look that we'll get for the rest of the Heisei series. So this is the one Godzilla series where the suit is really the same all the way through. So we get a really good continuity with the creature design.
King Diamond?
So really funny about this scene here. I just gotta quickly find his name. So his name is Demon Kogiri. I might be messing that up. But he was like a Kiss-like rock singer in Japan. And he did a radio show, a metal radio show. And he quoted when 1984 came out that he loved it and that he would love to be in the next Godzilla movie. And I guess someone at Toho was listening because they brought him in to be a part of the movie. And he's kind of like on TV and he's doing his rock radio show. And then he's like, oh, but come back in a brief moment because there's a special report coming in. So he got his dream to be in a Godzilla film. That's so cool. I love Toho.
Just shows that if you're a big enough fan, you can somehow be a part of this. Get
going,
right?
Lucas. Like he probably said that just thinking, like whatever. He was just promoting something he loved. So this is the CGI I was talking about. This is this is the first time CGI is ever used in Godzilla. And it's kind of used as like a Tron look just to show where the boats are and they're coordinating their attack.
Battleship.
Yep. So you might say, wow, this water scene and these miniatures look incredible. And the reason for that, even the helicopters, all of that's miniature. So this was the first time in Godzilla history where the miniatures were actually all motorized. Before they were always pulled by strings or moved physically. In this one, all of the helicopters are remote control copters. The boats are remote controlled and they're firing real rockets, Josh. Those are real bottle rockets they're actually firing, which is why they had a lot of protection for the suit. Ken Pachiro actually wore goggles inside the suit because there was numerous times where sparks would enter the suit and burn him. In fact, the first time you'll notice those spikes, they actually light up on his back.
Yeah.
That's not special effects. They actually light up. So they actually had lights in his spine that made his fins light up. So it's a real effect. But the first time he put the suit on to try it, there was a short circuit and it electrocuted him.
I wouldn't want to go back in the suit. And now you're in water.
I know. Poor Satsuma. He always gets the shit under the stick with these suits, whether he gets appendicitis and has to be operated on. The suit didn't fit him. You know what I mean? Now this one, he's getting electrocuted and there's only further accidents and injuries to come in this series.
But it just shows how good of an actor he is when it comes to playing these roles. Like, he's just like, all right, cool. I'll go with the flow.
Yep.
I might not like it, but I'll do my best and see what happens. And so far, we have not been let down.
No, as much as I love Nakajima, he is like that classic Godzilla. He did like the most hardships. Like that first suit was probably the worst suit to ever be in. And what he made Godzilla be is legendary and untouchable. But when it comes to like passing the torch and coming from that legacy, there's nobody I think that could have fulfilled it better for this series than Ken Pachiro. Like, bless the guy who walked out of the set for 1984 and made him do it, because if we got him, it might have never been the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This man deserves to play Godzilla. As much as he might not like it for the hardships of it, I'm glad that he's willing to do it, because there's no one I would love to see more in that suit than him after everything he's been through with Nakajima at his side. I love the Super X2 without windows. It just looks like a giant metal toe.
Giant metal toe just flying through the sky.
And that toe is going to go right up Godzilla's ass. So I know this is supposed to be tense because, you know, they're going to fight Godzilla, but I feel like a lot of the tensity is not as in it with this one because of the fact that there's no people in the Super X. So there's less at risk. You know what I mean? Like if that goes down, they just lose money. They don't lose lives. But also I like that kind of, it's like kind of like a cross homage, because in this movie, like I said, this is the first time they're using remote controlled crafts. And this is the first time they're using a remote controlled weapon in their universe to take down Godzilla.
Oh, I see the lights. That's sick.
I love that the lights light up on his back. It's so cool. And I think it's like one of the only times it's used. A lot of the future suits goes back to the special effect of it. But in this one, the fact that they light up because they had the budget to do so, unbelievable. I'm assuming they had a lot of issues with it getting wet and stuff, so they probably moved away from it for future films. But you also notice one more thing about this Godzilla, about his teeth. Next time he opens his mouth, take a good look. He might have an extra few chompers. See, he's got 2 sets of teeth. Oh. So he's got his first row of teeth, and then he's got teeth behind those teeth as well. I like that. It's a nice touch, almost like a shark. When a shark loses its first row of teeth, the other line grows in and takes its place. Same idea.
Water toe.
Now the toe goes into the water to resume going up Godzilla's ass. I like that it shows how smart Godzilla is, though. You know what I mean? Like he blasts the shit out of it and he notices it reflecting back. So he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go underwater then. Like he tries something new. He's not an idiot. I feel like this film is one of the better films that really displaying Godzilla's ferocity and how intelligent he really is. Whether that be from a fighting angle or a mental angle.
Until they try and make him fly.
Godzilla will never fly again.
Good.
I mean, actually, that's a lie. In the Millennium series, he defies gravity, but that's the Millennium series. It's silly. So here they tell everybody that they don't know that Godzilla's advancing on Tokyo for sure, but they tell everybody that he is anyway. So they have a reason to shut down the airports so they can stop our Seradian agent from getting away. Almost like a little bit of disinformation, almost a shot at the government for like lying just for the better of humanity and not telling the people the truth. Yeah. Kind of like we had an issue like that.
Try and make them not panic, but still panic at the same time.
Exactly. Like when they discovered the survivor of the ship in the last one and they knew it was Godzilla, but they didn't want to release it and cause nationwide panic. So they kept it hush. And then when it got released, no one was out of the country in time and Godzilla was attacking and it was too late. So now these guys are tasked to track him down.
New York City.
Yep. So now they're going to be given information to try and hunt him down. And I like that we kind of get like a buddy cop thing going with our general here and our lead in development of the biomajor leader here. I love how they end up having like a buddy cop thing going when they went to stop obviously the American agent there to get the G cells to stop the bomb. Now we get them hunting down the Seradian agent, and we'll get even more buddy cop scenes with them. It's just great. I like how we get a buddy cop thing going down, like, you know, was Lethal Weapon style. This is a nice
I don't
too. The pushiness of media, which doesn't get shown a lot in these movies, honestly, usually.
Also, you notice that the tube that he was just looking through is gone, but it would be behind him.
Yep. Oh. So we get
Daddy,
the vine
I'm
coming
home.
up. Yeah, really though. So it's actually a damn shame. You can find it online. But there's actually a whole scene that was taken out where those officers went out on a boat and tried to stop Biollante at this scene. And it's actually really well done. And they end up getting dragged underwater and killed. But I think because of the scenes, they would have had to increase the rating. So they cut it back.
I feel like they should have left it in. That would have been more brutal.
So I like here, you can see the plants really starting to develop. Do you see the row of teeth kind of forming in the center of the rows?
Yeah, Rose is starting to like sprout.
Yep.
Blossom a little more.
Love these shots of Godzilla in the water. So obviously the Godzilla suit had to be like a little lighter, obviously, in this one for water scenes and stuff like that. But the actual suit that's on land actually weighed quite a hefty amount. I do have the weight listings here. Just give me one quick second. I love the soundtrack in this one too, like the happy music. Yeah, so the Godzilla suit weighed 242 pounds in this movie, by the way. So Ken Pachiro, being probably like at least 160, and then checking that on. So that's 160, 240. So you're hitting like 400 pounds that he's walking around with in that suit. And then the second suit they had, which was used for the water scenes, was lighter, weighing it at 176 pounds. Can you imagine moving almost with his body weight? That's almost 300 pounds more than that through water.
I feel like at this point,
shit show.
Yes, but I feel like at this point, compared to the other suits made out of like, concrete and all that shitty material, these are probably like, I'm so much happier in these. You can probably breathe better. Like these are definitely a bigger change compared to those old suits.
And I think with them having the better effects in order to like make the suits lighter, they were able to make Godzilla bigger because they couldn't make bigger suits back then. The suits were really thin and they, in the last ones in the Showa series, when he moved, you could see the suit creasing and stuff. You don't see that with these suits, and that's because they're a lot thicker because they're able to make it out of rubber and latex and keep it lighter, which makes him in turn look a lot more menacing and stronger. Oh, I fucking love this Godzilla design. The only complaint I have about this movie design, because they change it in the next movie, is the head has a little bit of an egg shape to it. Like the top kind of sticks out a little bit on the head.
Yeah.
But other than that, the suit is perfect. And they fix that in later movies. So I have no complaints. No, this movie is definitely a 10 out of 10. That being said, watching it, because we kind of have a good opinion on this movie now, what do you think the Rotten Tomatoes score is on this movie? It is that time, folks.
Perfect 100.
Place your bets. You saying a perfect 100?
Yep.
I wish that were the case, sir.
Fuck.
Everyone got their guesses? All right. So the Rotten Tomatoes score for Godzilla versus Biollante is 71%. Still in the red, but it's actually one of the lower ranked movies in the Heisei series. The future Godzilla versus Mothra and later on, those films have a higher rating than this one, which I don't understand.
For the rest of my life, I'm just not going to agree with how they rate them.
I know. Even the audience score, though, is 72%. It's not even that high. And I feel like that's honestly just a lack of people who didn't get to see it. I think literally that's it. Because, people who watch this one in North America, at least, are watching it after watching the new ones. So they are comparing it to that. You know what I mean?
Like I'm comparing to oh my God, I'm comparing this to all the pooey ones that you've made me watch. And I'm like, this is 10 out of 10. Like I'm just vibing with it, watching it. Like this makes me think of like a horror movie. This is what I expect when I think of Godzilla myself.
Interesting. So obviously we're huge horror fans and horror buffs. Josh will really like this one. John Carpenter himself actually has a small statue of the Godzilla design from this movie in his office to this day.
That's amazing.
So this goes down probably as one of his favorite Godzilla movies then, which would make sense.
It's a lot more dark. Like I could 100%. This movie is a lot more darker than a lot of the other ones, especially for the way that they're doing it. It's normally a very childish kind of like here's a kaiju of some sort that's kind of dorky.
Yeah,
Biollante is spooky looking.
And it's a huge suit too. Like the suit for Biollante in this form we're seeing right now, the plant form, it was 10 feet tall. Or 10 feet, in length. That's disgusting. That's huge. 3 meters for a miniature suit that's sitting on top of the water. Because Godzilla's half in water here. The suit for Biollante, that's from water up. It's 3 meters. So that's pretty intense. Not to mention all the puppetry. Like, I'm pretty sure this has the most strings used, which tops previously Ghidorah. It uses I think they said, let me find the exact number of strings used, but it was quite a lot. It was one of the largest puppets they ever did. Yeah. So here we hear that, right? Because obviously this is like, so it's a female because it's fused with Erica. So Biollante is a female kaiju, which is honestly the first non-insect female kaiju we've gotten, because obviously Mothra. But yeah, the first, and I believe later on we get another female kaiju, but it's an insect again. So this is our only non-insect female kaiju we really get in the Godzilla series. That's just insane. And they did try like using stop animation for scenes with Godzilla fighting Biollante with the vines, but they said it didn't really match well with the other special effects, so they ended up taking it out, which I'm happy about. I like stop animation, but only when the whole film is done in stop animation. Stop animation for just one scene seems really out of place to me if it's used within other things. That's not to say it can't be done. I think for this case in this movie, it would have been a little bit of an eyesore.
There's definitely a few times it can be used, like in Beetlejuice, for example, like the worm, like little things like that. And I can get over it because like that's already a kind of spooky but cartoonish kind of movie as is. So
yeah, it's not too much based in realism. So you can expect to see something visually you wouldn't understand for the common eye. Oh, I just love the vines, the puppetry coming out of the water. It's so awesome. Everything about this Biollante design is great. And I like that it spews the acidic acid. That's such a nice touch. Oh, right on his face. See, remember in Godzilla versus Hedorah, same thing happens to him. He gets the sludge on the same left eye. And it's also the one off. The movies draw a lot of the same parallels, but this one's obviously a lot better, and it doesn't get too weird with, like he said, Godzilla flying and fish head people. Oh, I love how Biollante's given everything she's got at Godzilla, and like every time he's just like, nope. See, that's there you get a like, good shot of his egg-shaped head.
And that's also just building him up to be the force he's supposed to be in my mind. Like, you know, he's supposed to be a force to reckon with, a villain, you know, like.
Yeah. Oh, I like how the tongue moves. One. The tongue moves on this suit too, which really adds a lot of. Oh, Biollante puts up a shield, and Godzilla's gonna go right through that, my friend. Oh, and here we get a good destruction shot of Biollante's stomach exploding and all the sap and acidic goop pouring out of her, and sets her ablaze. She didn't stand a chance. But like Godzilla, when he falls, what happens? He just gets stronger, baby. I always feel bad for the doctor in this movie too, because you know he had to watch his daughter die at his own hands essentially, and then he tries to bring his daughter back, and then he has to watch her die like twice again. Like, it's just so sad. I feel bad for the guy because you know he is just trying to cope with lost. He's just trying to cope with loss. That's what I meant to say.
Loss.
So here we get kind of the first idealism. So we see as she's killed, all of her particles come up like pollen, kind of like spores, and she kind of turns into this dust and flies up into the sky. So like Biollante can't fly, but she can form, and that's kind of how she gets around. She turns into these. Yeah, see, right there, he says she's immortal, which means she cannot die. Every time I watch this movie, I just can't help but think about the fact that some Godzilla fans, diehard Godzilla fans, don't even know this movie exists. It's just such a good movie, and I feel like if it was reapproached and re-released at a different angle, it would be a lot more loved. Yeah, so they're trying to fix the Super X, but they can't seem to get it. He really blew through the front of it, so at this point, they're going to have to release the Super X anyway in its condition just to protect the people. And we know that's not going to go over too well. So The Biollante plant form, so the form we just saw, is 200,000 metric tons, making her the second heaviest monster in the entire series.
Who's the first? Mecha G?
I think the first heaviest would be our antagonist in the next movie. Let me find that out real quickly.
It's a giant whale.
A high-end collectible of Biollante was released in 2013. I would love to get my hands on it. I've seen it for sale a few places, but aftermarket prices for the figure soon soared to prices up to $2,000, with the figure eventually being reissued at a cheaper price starting at $300. Damn. I mean, this one is pretty loved, so
we're coming to AliExpress or like
yeah.
Wish, here we come.
Because in a Japanese nationwide poll, the film was voted the number 4th in top film in the entire series of all Godzilla films in 2017.
I feel like in Japan, you could probably find them a lot easier going to like all those sweet toy stores they have, like collector's toys for days. I feel like you could probably find them.
Oh, there. Sorry, I misread that fact. So in Japanese nationwide poll, the film was voted 4th in the entire series.
That's not bad.
In the Godzilla Film Festival, though, poll of 2017, the film was number 2. So it was announced to be the second best Godzilla film. That's more like it. Boop, boop, boop. So in plant form, like we said, she weighed, it was 200,000 metric tons. And what was that form? Well, I guess she's the same weight when she switches forms. So who would be the heaviest?
I want one of these tables.
I want everything from this movie. Wow. I mean, even here it says Biollante is the heaviest at 220,000 metric tons. So I guess it's her, but they seem to have somebody higher on the list on Wikizilla. So let's find that out. Let me look at a couple other monsters who I would think are top contenders here. Oh, I think I know who it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it would be Space Godzilla, who comes in later in the Heisei series. In his flying form, he weighs 720,000 metric tons. So more than triple what Biollante weighs.
I honestly figured Mecha G would be like
heavy as probably up
just
there.
Because like space titanium, if he's literally built with titanium, you know, like.
Let's look at the newer Mecha Gs and see how he lines up. Because he's probably, with Battle Gear, Mecha G only weighs 40,000 metric tons.
Surprising.
What about the Showa ones? Let me check Showa. The Showa Mecha Godzilla was 40,000 metric tons. So yeah, they never even crack 100. Biollante is 220,000.
How much is Godzilla then?
This Godzilla from this one?
Yeah.
This Goji is 60.
Not bad.
Sorry, 50,000 metric tons. The only reason Biollante weighs so much is because she's got the same height, but she's also wider and has more of like a grounded, element. You gotta think about all the roots and all the tentacles.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I'm like, I guess you would have to count all the like roots and other appendages that she could create as well. Like it seems like her vines just kind of grow real quick and rapid, and then she can make new ones. So in the end, she could probably just fluctuate her weight really easily.
You know what I love most about this film, Josh? Has there been any point during this film so far when you went, wow, that was a bad special effect, or it didn't look real to you?
Well, no, but that's also because I've been just vibing with the movie. So far, this has been my hands down my favorite one.
Because you know how there's a lot of composite shots where people are in the same view as Godzilla, and it's clearly you can tell that they're just composited in front, like it's just on a green screen. So we're about to see a scene where Godzilla comes within 100 meters of these people, these two girls, and it looks like they're actually there. There's just a massive Godzilla in front of them. It's unbelievable. There's only one funny goof moment from this film, and we'll definitely point it out when it happens. but it's not a lack of special effects shot. It's just of a silly choice. The special effects are still off the charts and amazing on this movie.
I would have loved if Godzilla just like swatted them out of the air because she just like leave, and he was like, nope.
Bitch just beams them out of the sky. So, and there's a lot to this scene. I think, like at first glance, you think, it's whatever, and we'll talk about it a bit after it happens, so we can have your opinion on it. But I feel like there's a lot more meaning to this scene than what we're kind of meant to be shown. See, because at this point they're expecting, they think Miki's gonna beat Godzilla somehow because they're trusting in her ESP and her psychological capabilities. Because technically that's the head of the psychological department who's walking down, and Miki's one of their new students, but she's one of the strongest. That's why they're bringing her around. Because she's, while she's the creator of the program, Miki was one of the first students to join the program and actually be raised as an ESP. God, I love that Godzilla suit design. It's so goddamn good.
Thick.
So angry. Thick. So much anger. Watch this. I
love it.
Atomic blast. So good. Yeah, it just blows her. But because she's psychic, she can communicate with Godzilla, right?
Secretly just sending him mind nudes, and that's why
look at that shot. Duel. It looks like he's actually there.
It's good angle play
best,
right there.
Yeah, exactly. The best composite, and that's why they got this special effects director who did Gunhead, because one of his things he's really good at is hiding matte lines, not being able to see that they're green screened in. So here we're kind of getting like a psychic battle between the two, and she drops. And I think that just shows, and that's the kind of thing we were talking about, is like not only is Godzilla strong physically, but mentally. His mind and his thoughts was too powerful for her to communicate with. He literally just made her faint.
Well, like it's one human trying to communicate with an entire kaiju. That's
it's not it's not like the girl from Terror of Mecha G who can control two kaijus at once with one brain. Yeah. I love that shot so much. And he understands what was going on. So he just walks away. He's like, I've done my business. They stalled him enough, though. Stalled him for a bit. At least enough so that people could get away on the helicopters, right? Oh, so now we're at alert level 4. I like how this is constantly issued throughout the film, showing us the intensity of and how dangerous Godzilla is getting. Like DEFCON. We're bringing Nixon back. Nixon, give us our DEFCON levels. Going to DEFCON 5. When this song hit, I was like, okay, this doesn't make much sense, but I dig it.
And then Jamie Lee Curtis comes in with her little like workout outfits.
Yeah. But there you get it. It was a rock band, pop band playing a stadium, and all of a sudden they stop playing. They're like, Godzilla's approaching, evacuate the building. Then we go to the awesome guitar solo song from the intro. I love it. Fucking love it. Do not panic. Everyone's running. Tell a giant monster is heading towards your town and then say not panic. Okay.
Just kidding.
Should have said a giant teddy bear was coming to give me a box of chocolates. It would have been a lot less panic ridden.
1,000%.
So here we're getting led to, remember I was talking about the one thing that's a big goof in this movie? And I can't remember if it's the same in the Japanese version or if it was a sound effect added in the American dub. But regardless, it's a silly one for the version we're watching. So here we get an agent, another Seradian agent, I'd assume, who's trying to steal the Godzilla cells out of the safe.
Nah, he just wants the oil.
Here we get a buddy cop moment. Oh, this is the Seradian Oil Company's building. I see. They're sent after them. You think they would have brought a weapon or something if they were going to hunt some guy down, but instead they're going to fight. Not the best fight ever, but it's not terrible.
I was going to imagine he's just a businessman. You'd think that they were trained.
Here we go. This moment right here. So for those who aren't watching, The one agent who's trying to steal the safe, he's wearing a yellow hard hat. And the guy walks up behind him and he hits him with the giant panel. But when he hits him, it does like a cartoony boing sound effect when he hits him in the head. And then just the icing on top of the cake, the other agent goes to punch him and he right hooks him right to left, but the guy falls left to right. So it's almost like when you get slapped and you react and fly the other way.
Basically, like, Ric Flair.
Yeah, I was like, big oof. That is the only oof in this movie, and it's not a practical effect. It's an acting problem and a sound thing. Another really great shot. He opens the blinds and just sees Godzilla trampling through the city. Damn, Godzilla. Like, look how good these composite shots are. Unbelievable. I can't praise this movie.
I love the black eyes. The darker eyes make it look so much more menacing.
They either got to be completely dark or white and nothing else but white eyes. That's how you make something look truly menacing, especially Godzilla. You get the reflection of the fire in the windows there. This is the first film where they actually fool me on some miniatures, whether it's miniature or not. And the water, how the water moves. So for this one, a lot of the issues were when they filmed water and they slowed the footage down, it made the water slow down too. So it kind of made it look weird. So for this one, they actually put thinners and thickers in the water. So that way they thicken it up. So when it moves, it clumps together more. So that way it gives more mass to the water movement, which I thought was a really nice touch for this movie. And the trail shot here where it follows him along. Amazing. Amazing. Folks, if you watch some of the earlier Godzilla movies and you were like, even some of the Heisei ones and weren't feeling too loved by them, do yourself a favor and go watch this movie. It's, if you can get your hands on it, because it's such a hidden gem of a movie. It's just great. So I'd imagine at this point, we were talking earlier about the one creature who was taking out of the film when he was supposed to be Reptilius, I think his name was, and he was half rat, half fish.
Yeah.
I assume this is where their battle would have taken place, but he was replaced with the Super X2 instead from the original screenplay. Because less monsters, it muddies up the water when you have too many monsters. You know what I mean? Sometimes, especially if they're new monsters we haven't seen. Like the only time I think it ever works. Sick. Right? The miniature work is incredible in this movie. Think about how massive that set must have been.
It'd be so fun to make.
So our Lieutenant Goro here, the guy who obviously is hunting Godzilla, he's noted for one of a lot of things. One, he's a great character, great actor, but there is a moment in Godzilla history he is known for that we're about to get to see, just to build up that kind of suspense. And when we get to it, we'll talk about it, folks, for those who aren't watching the movie along with us. And for those who have seen it, we know exactly what we're talking about. So I love how they all have rocket launchers. So ideally, I think they're going for the same kind of idea as they were in the last film, where they tried to put like a blood coagulant in his mouth to freeze him and slow him down. Ideally, those are the missiles they have that they're trying to do. No, I am completely wrong. It's the anti-nuclear bacteria they were actually supposed to be developing. That's what they do, and they put it in these rockets so that way it'll take the radiation away from Godzilla, hoping to reverse the effects of him so it can maybe kill him. That's what it is. That was the whole reason they went for those samples and took them from the Seradian guy in the office there. Thinking too much about the movie and not about the actual plot, guys. Sorry. Again,
little army men.
Yeah, this would be a
Toy
Story.
Right? Looks like Toy Story when they're like trying to go scout out the party.
They show them on the Jumbotron there. There's just so many clever like little clips.
Mayday, we got a Godzilla figure.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was a Godzilla figure in Toy Story, if it would still be an asshole.
Yes.
Just destroy
That's why
all
Andy never
buildings.
had it. Andy had it for one day, and then he came back to his room and all of his toys were destroyed and his bed was on fire. And he's like, I don't like this toy anymore.
Just beat up that Reptar one or whatever the hell it is.
Oh, Reptar. Obviously, folks, Reptar is 100% based off of Godzilla. And growing up in our generation, Rugrats was the shit. So I love Reptar. I've got a little stuffed Reptar on my shelf. Respect.
I've always wanted that sweet ride that the dad made, and then they got lost. It was in the movie.
Oh, the pterodactyl like creature thing.
No, like the how they had like
the
the
buggy
push
they
cart.
ride.
Yeah, like the buggy thing. Yeah, that thing would be lit.
Yep. I love that his dad was like a
Floats and
toy
stuff.
inventor. I think that was cool. Nice touch.
I love that show.
Another injury sustained too during these explosion scenes as well. The bottom of Ken Pachira's feet were charred and burnt to shit from all the fireworks and explosions and sparks, because some of them got inside the suit and then went off inside of his feet.
Should have worn some shoes or something.
I mean, you can't really imagine how hot it is, and I mean he's probably wearing socks, but
more socks.
You got to be able to feel what you're pushing on and what you're moving with your feet. If you have shoes on, you can't really feel what you're touching, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's not like a car where you just feel for a bass pedal and you hit go.
Pew 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 pew.
I do like the Super X in the first one, but I think it's more of a threat in this one for sure. He gets kicking his ass, but as we know, they're just trying to get ahead on the game because they weren't able to fully fix the reflector shields. That's why they haven't used that yet. That's why they're keeping their distance, because if he goes at that, it's only gonna take one or two blasts to take that thing down now.
Or just like a yeet out of the sky kind of moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep hiding. Just keep hiding.
Doodle 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 doodle. And we kind of miss him in this one. I think he already went by, but the Joint Chief Staff Yamaji, he's actually in this movie. He's played by Koichi I'm gonna butcher his last name, Uda. I think his name's just Uda. And he's in every single Godzilla film all the way up until 2004 after this movie. He plays much more of a bigger role in the next film, which we'll get to. So, but yeah, he's been in every single Godzilla film going forward, and he goes to play some really great roles, which we'll talk about in the future. Who else has been in this that we can talk about? I mean, do we get Kenji in this one? I believe. No, he wasn't in this one. So one of the only other actors to really be in the most Godzilla films over anybody, I think he ties or surpasses Nakajima, was Kenji Sahara. Let's see if I can find a character who you would know who he played in the last films. Do you remember in Mothra versus Godzilla, there was the two bad guys? Oh, and the Super X2 goes down. Sorry, I had to point that out. He just owns it like nothing. Get another cool roar shot. And then they all shoot it in his mouth and his body. Oh, I like the effect when it plants. Like the screw weapons, see? Every time they use it, it's like they keep the same weapons, but they upgrade them in one certain way. I like that. Sorry, I got off topic. In Mothra versus Godzilla, Jiro, it was the two bad guys, the guy with the mustache and the other guy.
Yep.
The other guy, that was him. He's been in almost every Godzilla movie. He's been in so many, but this is when he wasn't in. But right here, this is
Patch Man.
Me too. This is when this is a really cool shot, and this is what Goro's known for in the Godzilla series right here. This story actually comes back and plays a greater role in future movies. So face to face with Godzilla. He sees him and he knows what he did. I like how he tells off Godzilla here. He's the only person to bad talk Godzilla. And so in the English dub, we get stick to smoking. All this stuff's bad for you. Stick to smoking. And then in the Japanese cut, I believe the line is, all this medicine, he's like, try taking it orally instead of anally or something along those lines. So in both series, he bad talks Godzilla, right? Because he knows he's going to die. So he might as well go out with a bang. And he just bad mouths Godzilla before getting destroyed. What a champ.
May as well.
Right? So it is kind of a sad moment because I really enjoyed his character in this film. I thought he was the smart ass detective and he was really cool. And it's a shame, but we get in future films, his friends kind of want to redeem his death essentially, which we'll get into when we get those films. So he does have somewhat of a play in the franchise. Obviously, Miki's still like out of commission from her battle with Godzilla. Yeah. She could have died, but she didn't. She did it so they could get away. Gotta be a hero, baby. I can kiss away the pain. But yeah, we were talking about Kenji Sahara, who played the guy in King Kong versus in Mothra versus Godzilla. we'll quickly just go through the list of things he's been in. He was in the original Gojira as a man on the ship. He was in Rodan. He was in the Mysterians. He was in Mothra. He was in Gorath, which we'll get to eventually. He was in King Kong versus Godzilla, Atragon, where Mandra was. That's another movie we might get to eventually. He was in Mothra versus Godzilla, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Frankenstein Conquers the World. He was in the Ultra Q TV show, so Ultraman, War of the Gargantuans, the other Ultraman TV show, Son of Godzilla, Destroy All Monsters Attack, Space Amoeba, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, Terror of Mechagodzilla, couple other films, another Ultraman, not this film or 1984, but then he's in all the other ones of the Heisei series as well. Wow. He's been in a lot of kaiju movies. Kudos to him. And still alive and kicking, I might add. I believe.
I believe.
Let me check that because now I'm a little worried. Yep, he's 89 years old. Still kicking. He was in the first Godzilla film and he's still alive. God damn. Good for him.
Yeah.
Healthy man.
Hey, I mean, if you eat right, don't smoke, and
yeah, if you listen to Goro's, if you do the opposite and ignore Goro's advice, don't stick to smoking. You never know.
Yeah, I know. As soon as he said that, I'm like, no, don't do that. I already do that, and that's a bad habit. Like, I would quit. It's so hard. Don't push. If you're quitting smoking, keep going. You got this.
I also love in this fact too, like we get the first Godzilla versus Biollante fight almost to like itch our kaiju battle, itch. And then we get a Godzilla destroying the city. When we get military action, and then spoiler alert, we get another ending battle.
Ooh.
And it just paces everything just so right, and it constantly builds. This movie is very well done. As much as our director, Amore, kind of trashed Godzilla, he was right in his sense, and he ends up putting on a good Godzilla film. So I'm proud to say that he was kind of right, and he goes on to do writing and directing in all the future Heisei Godzilla movies as well. So he obviously did well enough that Tanaka's like, yeah, even after tarnishing our name and making fun of our earlier movies, you did a good job, and we want you to do more.
So almost like a little chance.
Yeah, I hate that you're right, but you're right.
Yeah, I also like how much war and military stuff they've put into this movie, and they're like creating it instead of reusing footage again, like they usually do. Where they're just like, this is an actual war.
Big ass budget on this one, right?
Yeah, pluses.
So they're able to,
because they're able to actually use their actors in the scenes instead of just as a background character.
I love that line there too, where the scientist is like, yeah, I guess it's it for my generation. Time to let the new generation, move aside and let the next generation take control of everything. He's like, yeah, after creating a crazy death creature and fucking up everything, then you let them do it.
I don't know what this is, but I want it.
So this is cool. This is an old, essentially like drawing tablet that Sony made. You'll kind of see it back like on the computers. They'll show. See, there you go. Using pixel art and stuff. So she's drawing the rose in space with the spores. If you could make out, that's what that was, which is an incredible foreshadowing to future movies. You just got to remember that moment for 4 movies. I'll bring it up when we get to the movie, but that scene alone foreshadows so much that happens in like films down the line. God, they did so much right with Miki's character and developing her to really take a real main focus and be really involved with the future going on. It's absolutely unbelievable. I also like that they do a lot of this movie at night and in the rain, because it does help hide a lot of the, the wires and the effects and stuff like that. So it makes it even more grounded. And the fact that like a lot of it, the fighting takes place in water, and it's like the suit's already wet, you might as well, right? add a little bit of like cinema flair to it that way. Fucking love the score in this movie. See, it's got a nice blend of Ifukube's track, like when they're using Godzilla's theme, and then using the other score that the oh my goodness, Sugiyami made as well. It's a nice kind of balance. I really like it. So right at this point, we're rocking up at, I think this is a longer movie. Usually Godzilla movies we watch are like an hour and 25 minutes, hour 30 tops. This movie's actually an hour and 45 minutes. It's one of the longer ones, but honestly, I'm not mad about it at all. We've got another 20 minutes left of the film, so we've hit that classic 20 minutes left.
So this is where the good stuff happens.
Yeah, exactly. Do. Oh, more of that good CGI. Displaying where all the bases are and where all the attack headquarters are and where Godzilla's moving. So you can see they kind of have these triangles on the ground there.
Yeah.
So what that is, they don't actually explain it well enough, in my opinion. That's why I'm talking about it now. Is their actual they conduct electricity, so they essentially fry things. So they're planning to, when Godzilla walks over it, they electrocute him with the guns, and then it goes through the ground and grounds him, and then will shock him from the bottom up, essentially.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it does take a play later in the movie, so that's why I just had to explain what they do. So yeah, they can see which one marks where, and then when he's stepping on it, they'll activate that pad and electrocute him. Boom! See, there you get it. So they charge him with the guns, and then they ground him through the ground and activate it, and it electrocutes him. It's not doing much. It might slow him down. That's really all they're trying to do, is piss him off so he changed direction, right? Oh, he's hot, all right. So it's so hot, it would melt a tank. Jesus.
Damn.
That's hot. Hot. Whenever you see these, I know I've pointed out before, whenever you see these tanks with those guns come out, you know shit's getting real. They shoot either electricity or ice, and they are always badass. So yeah, real guided missiles in this one. So you're not getting a lot of like missiles on strings or anything like that, which I love. Not that I didn't mind
to be the guy. I'd love to be the guy behind the scenes with like the firework just waiting. Be like, yeah, go.
I love y'all who've seen Tropic Thunder, but Josh is literally Danny McBride from that movie where Mother Nature's about to piss her pants and he's just launching bombs and blowing shit up.
Yep.
That would be you.
What are you saying? You're the asshole that created Biollante, and you're just sitting here being like, I hope it works.
Yeah, but at this point, they think Biollante's gone, so Biollante's not an issue anymore. So
if I've learned one thing about these movies, that either the kaiju run away and come back in a different movie, or they're just coming back in a different, like 15
in a different form.
Yeah, exactly. You go from a sweet ass moth to a turd, and then a
Majin Buu this shit.
Yeah, I know, but Majin Buu's the shit.
Yeah, that's true. The pink shit. Oh, the lip snarl. Oh, anytime Godzilla does a lip snarl, I'm just like, fuck, that's awesome. I also like the egg-shaped head, because when he tilts his head downwards like that, it makes his brow more intimidating, and he looks more proportionate that way.
What a fitting movie.
He's looking at the floor.
What a fitting movie. There's a lot of thunder and lightning and rain happening outside my house right now, and lo and behold,
there you go. I hope that's not happening down here where I am, because my power goes out pretty easily, and that would be very unfortunate.
Okay, so if my power goes out, and I'm just warning you now, my friend, I didn't do anything.
I swear.
I hope not, but I have to give you the fair warning, because like, it's loud.
Okay, we got 15 minutes. We can do it.
Come on, Mother Nature, hold on out.
And I will say, if there is, obviously, because we got to mention negatives here, folks. This isn't like, we got to talk about what's not good too. I'd say if there was any issues with this movie, my main complaint would be that the ending fight scene is too short. Like, it's so good and it's more quality than quantity, but the ending is a little short. Like, if, we're 15 minutes away from the ending of the movie, which is supposed to be the golden 20-minute fight line. 15 minutes in and we still haven't seen the monster he's going to fight for the ending yet. But we're still getting action. Like, he's still blowing shit up and it's still cool. But the ending fight scene is so amazing. I wish we just got a little bit more of it. But I understand with the cost of the suit and like the limitations of what you can do when we see just how massive the final.
But even with this movie, we've gotten a few different sections, right? Like, we had the one fight in the water, and that was pretty great for like a good 15 minutes. You know, like, we've gotten, instead it's just the main fight at the end. This one's had it in different sections, which I've enjoyed.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get over like the 20-minute because you're like, all right, well, I've already gotten 2 other ones. So I mean, okay.
It's really good at spacing things out and keeping a good pace going. Oh, so Miki's back up. She must be feeling better. She's like, what the fuck's going on?
It's raining. Where am I? Camp Crystal Lake?
It's raining, man. Hallelujah.
It's raining kaiju.
It's raining kaiju. Oh, she knows. She senses something. So she's like, I got to dip. I like how she almost falls there, but she still keeps going. Wouldn't be surprised. You're running up a muddy, raining hill and flats. Girl's brave for doing that alone. It is cool to think, though, like her acting performance and how, you know, professional it is, and the fact that she goes toe to toe with Godzilla and how she keeps everything so seriously. Yet she's the actress who was almost terrified of Godzilla the first time she stepped on set. And this is her first time ever seeing Godzilla in anything.
Well, it's right? Like that little kid with Insidious when he saw the guy that was like the devil guy or whatever the hell he is, the demon guy, right? Like with
the lipstick face demon.
Yeah, like in costume, the guy was like, holy shit. And then he was like, come help me put on my makeup, you know what I mean? And then became friends with him, so he's not scared of him anymore. And then they were just laughing at each other, and they found it hard to film because now he was just laughing at each other. Like they were just, you know, fucking around.
Oh, imagine if James Wan did a Godzilla film.
It'd be interesting.
Be intriguing. I don't think that's up his alley, but he'd do a good job. So obviously there, Mickey comes up and she sees the storm clouds start to form, which is another great shot, I might add. And as the spores come down from the sky, all of their electronic communications cut out. So there's some kind of supernatural element to Biollante.
If you could have a director make a Godzilla film, who would you choose?
Ishiro Honda to come back from the grave. And
but here's my thing. But you can't. Yeah, you got to choose a director that's like somewhere out there. Mine, I think Sam Raimi.
Yeah, honestly, I would say either Sam Raimi or Tim Burton.
Because I was gonna say Tim Burton would be cool, but I was thinking Sam Raimi because of like the Evil Dead vines and stuff. I was like, I feel like that'd be a really cool take on this one.
I would also like to see like someone like Christopher Nolan, like a serious director, tackle a movie. It would have a really deep story.
If Sam Raimi did it, we'd probably get Bruce Campbell as Godzilla or some shit.
So here we get the final form of Biollante. Honestly, I'm going to say it now, probably the coolest kaiju design we've ever gotten.
So far, I feel like that's, besides Ghidorah, is my second favorite. Is like, yeah, really good.
It was massive.
Dun, dun.
Like, it looks big, but wait till it's actually in scale with Godzilla so you can really see how big this thing is. It'll pan back and it'll show you how big she really is. And here we get that score that sounds a lot like Jaws. Dun 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 dun. See how they do it in the dark too? So it looks like it's being on strings, but you can't see the strings, which is what I like about it. That was one thing he really wanted to avoid in this film, and I feel like he did a good job.
I love the ooze coming from Biollante. Like, it's so cool when, like, you know, the flesh comes off and it starts like squirting blood and stuff. That's one of the first that we've gotten for this.
Alrighty, folks. Sorry, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we're back.
My bad.
Power went out on Josh's end. So here we are.
Sometimes
it is, yeah, exactly. So the final battle, we're back. Biollante taking on Godzilla. God, I just like we had to talk about it again. How amazing the suit is for Biollante. It's just goddamn incredible.
Definitely one of the better monsters for this movie.
Yeah, well, Biollante was originally supposed to be like a human-esque Rose-like looking character, and then they slowly developed her. They didn't really know what she was going to look like until like a week before shooting, and then they didn't really expect her to move. She was just going to be stationary, but the special effects director decided like on the day of that they wanted to do this moving shot right here. So they kind of had her on a giant board and they pushed her while they were sliding it with the suit actor inside. And then they just shook the camera to make it look like it was like rumbling. And it's such a goddamn cool shot. They use it twice.
That's really cool.
All right, here it is again. It's just awesome. It's one of those things I'm glad they decided to do last minute because it turned out to be one of the coolest shots of the fight. Oh, literally impales Godzilla's hand. It's so brutal. You can tell she's a lot tougher this round than last round. He gives 0 fucks. She's going right in for the kill. Oh, and then he just like removes it. So badass. Like, you think that's going to stop me? Yeah, Godzilla's not messing around, girl. And you should know that considering you're pretty much also Godzilla. See how massive that suit is compared to Godzilla?
Yeah. That also shows like, the weight distribution that we were talking about earlier, like why he would be, or why she would be so much bigger.
Yeah, and heavier because it's like how wide she is. She's easily like at least another quarter taller than Godzilla. Like she's a Godzilla and a quarter in height, let alone girth. There is one really funny instance. The sap that sprays and burns him. So interesting fact, the suit operator couldn't actually, I guess, they couldn't tell what they were shooting because they had no visible line of sight for this suit. So they had all the cameramen cover their cameras in plastic sheets and everybody. So they, in case he missed. So I always thought this was funny. I'm like, why did Godzilla like just stick his head in there? And it's a shame because originally the point of this scene was Godzilla was going to shoot down Biollante's throat, like right there. But it wasn't until after they filmed, they realized they couldn't get the Goji suit to tilt its head up to shoot inside Biollante's mouth. So instead they have him back up and then shoot down the throat. It's just the perfect example of like when something doesn't work out, you work around it and it still works. Almost like Biollante gets the upper hand, but then Godzilla goes for the finisher. And like it doesn't help too, like the rain effects and stuff and all the sludge. It gives like a shiny look to Zilla and Biollante as well, so it makes them look really cool.
Yeah,
rather than just being all dried up, it gives them more texture and shine.
He's running away.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, because of the stuff they shot him with earlier, if you remember, it's finally kicking in and it's pretty much tearing him a new one. So he's going to go down for the count here. Essentially, just take another Godzilla nap. Because I thought for the longest time it was Biollante, but it's the bacteria that takes effect.
Oh.
So I guess what they did in the first place worked.
Just took a while.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Tylenol with a really bad headache. It'll work, but it might take a while.
Exactly. It ain't no ultra strength, okay?
No, this is just bougie bitch like Tylenol, just normal bitch.
So I guess his antibacteria worked after all, but he's like, after what I've created, I'm not going to continue anymore.
And you created it.
Exactly, right there. The people who create them are monsters, and he doesn't want to be a part of it. He's realized that now. And here we go. Get one cheesy ending here.
I love the music.
Right. It's actually such a cheese ending right here. You'll love this ending.
Just explodes.
Even better. So all her spores deteriorate and she goes up into space, which, remember, folks, that'll foreshadow a future creation. And then the silhouette of Erica just goes up.
Jesus.
Oh, that's so funny. So for those who aren't watching, at the end, Biollante turns into spores and goes up, and there's this like faded silhouette of like a shot of the actress who plays Erica's face, and it just like goes up with the spores into the sky. And you get like the Paramount Disney kind of, swirl effect.
Looks like it's gonna form into like Aladdin.
Yeah. It's Robin Williams coming back.
Jesus.
So you get the nice ending. Boom! Just when you think it's over, our main scientist, the doctor, he gets shot by who, you ask? That Sradian agent.
I knew he'd come out of nowhere.
He's like, he never died, so I don't like this ending, but I understand why they had to tie up the loose ends. They should have just ended the movie with that ending right there and didn't shoot him. But that's leaving too many loose ends. So now there's this. Remember in Destroy All Monsters when the movie ended and it was great, and then that stupid UFO flew around for like 5 minutes and they chased it as some pointless ending and it ruined it.
Yep.
And you thought it was like the red dragon the whole time, but it was just a UFO.
Basically this one.
Yeah, exactly. They could have ended it there, but it's not as bad because this is a good ending and you're not chasing something that's unnecessary. They're actually tying up a loose end, but it's like, goddamn, you could have left the movie on such a positive note, and now it's this awkward chase scene.
I feel like they should have incorporated this guy earlier, like the spy guy with the weird gloves.
Yeah, they should have
incorporated him earlier, and Biollante should have like killed him.
I mean, how they get him is pretty good, but this is ridiculous. He goes to shoot, but he slips in the mud, so he misses the shot.
Oof.
They get mud on their clothes. They're like, don't fall again because we can't reshoot this because your clothes are muddy. So if you remember those pads, look what he's standing on. Remember, I was like, remember what those do because it's going to come important later. Boom!
Oh. So now
he in the control center. No, remember the electricity? So he just got incinerated.
Oh.
Because that was the things they had on the ground to kill Godzilla. He's like, I got you.
That worked out well.
Silly, but you know what? I guess it had to happen. But yeah, I agree. They should have kind of taken care of that earlier, so they didn't have to do that ending. Like, it should have ended with Erica getting sent up or whatever, and then he walks out and sees her, and this should have been the ending. But I understand what was supposed to happen. The doctor is dead. He got shot. Whoa. Yeah, it cooled him down. That's why he went into the water. Godzilla ain't no idiot. But I feel like he's done for the day. He's a tired boy.
He ate a nap. He's going home.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta go rest off all these drugs. He just dropped so many pills, yo. He's gotta go chill now. He got the biggest hangover.
Bye, Zilla, bye.
So we're pretty much approaching the end here. What do you think of Godzilla versus Biollante, Josh? Besides the technical difficulties,
I really liked it. Didn't like the end part, but like really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, like creature design, story, pacing, actors, everything was 10 out of 10. I'd say this, I can already confidently say this is in my top 5 of all time. This one. And we'll have an official ranking of everything once we finish the whole entire series. But I feel like this series, like the Heisei series, is one relatively easy to rank because it's only 7 films. But like every film is dramatically different and has like a really different feel. So like chances are what you like is what you like. And it's pretty easy to organize them from least to best.
Oh, yeah.
I already know which one will be at the bottom. So actually, I don't know. Because you might actually enjoy it. I'm not too sure. And it's equally loved and hated, so we'll get to that one too, but which would be Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, but we'll see when we get to that one. Nice happy ending. I like this one too because like we were saying earlier, it's really the start of Miki's progression as a character, and like we see her come back in every film. It's the first time you really see her smile at the end. She's always so serious throughout the movie. And then obviously our doctor here passing, because obviously he's done for. They were hoping he would survive, but nope, he's passed. Which is suiting because now he can be with his daughter. I like the little narration over the ending. The innocence of man after you stepped out of the Garden of Eden.
Godzilla went home.
A little bit of unnecessary overdone narrative, but no, solid film. So it's a real damn shame that this one gets missed so often, but it is definitely a great film. It's a little hard to get your hands on, but Honestly, it's worth it. If you can seek it out and get your hands on it, definitely recommend checking this film out. It is fantastic. Now, I see 1984 is technically the Heisei series, just because of the storyline. But realistically, this was the first film to actually be in the Heisei era of Japan. Because the Heisei era started in 89 of Japan. So this came out in 89. So this is technically, if you're really getting down to technicals, this is the first Heisei film, but 1984 is included in the Heisei series storyline. So it's often grouped with it. But I think this film feels like the true start to the Heisei series because it's a versus, and every single Godzilla movie after this is a Godzilla versus something. That's why it's called the Heisei versus series. So I understand like why this one feels more like it. And plus it's the actual Godzilla suit design that we're going to get variations of for the rest of them. While the last one was dramatically different looking from 84 to this one.
Did you notice that there's a rose in the sky to insinuate,
just like earlier? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, hey, if Godzilla's stuff went to space with all the pollen and stuff and her energy and her source, and there's a movie called Godzilla versus Space Godzilla in the future, maybe we'll see her come back. Maybe we won't.
I like it. I'm in.
Alrighty, folks. So this has been the second film in the Heisei series and the 19th episode of the Killer Kaiju podcast. Wow, we'll be doing the 20th episode next.
Time to celebrate, man.
I know. And to celebrate the 20th episode,
Lucas is gonna buy me pizza.
Sure.
All right.
Maybe. But mainly, the other surprise for Josh is the return of his favorite kaiju.
Hey, you know what? Maybe for the 20th one, we'll be able to be in the same room together.
Maybe.
Watch a movie together for once.
I feel like that's dangerous.
I don't know, man.
I guess I'll have to figure it out.
Those vaccinations.
Yeah, they set me free.
Wearing mask. We're alive.
We're alive.
Finally watch a movie together.
Alrighty, folks. So as always, you can check all of our stuff out on Spotify. You can watch the videos along on YouTube, and we're on most listening platforms. You can always follow us at our Twitter at Killer Kaiju Cast, and we also have Instagram at Killer Kaiju Podcast, and you can also follow us on Facebook, where you can contact us personally, chat about Godzilla nerdy facts and all that jazz, recommend future movies, and give us your opinion on the movies we're watching as well. If you'd love to be a guest on our show and you're listening, you can reach out to us at our Facebook page, or you can always email us at killerkaijupodcast@gmail.com. If you're an avid kaiju consumer and lover, or you just want to be on the show and experience a movie for the first time, all of the above, we'd be happy to have you. And we also have bonus episodes continuing with our Friday the 13th series, in which we'll be covering, I guess, next part 5, A New Beginning, which is my opinion is my least favorite one, but it's still a decent film. We'll enjoy it. We'll have a good time. Spoiler. It doesn't matter.
Oof, sorry.
So guys, that was Godzilla versus Biollante, one of the hardest films to get. So whether you're just listening to it because you can't get your hands on it, we hope we supplied you with significant facts. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And until next time with King Ghidorah, live the dream, and we'll see you guys then. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.